Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely crucial concept in data science. It's called feature scaling. If you've ever built a machine learning model and it just wasn't learning properly, or maybe it was taking absolutely forever to train, well, this right here might be exactly why. So grab your notebooks because we're going to master this great equalizer of data and seriously level up our machine learning skills. Here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the basics of feature scaling, look at why it actually matters, break down the key techniques, check out a simple Python workflow, go over some best practices and common mistakes to avoid, and finally, we'll wrap up with a quick revision quiz. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the basics of feature scaling. Let's level the playing field. To really understand why we even need feature scaling, we have to look at the raw data we feed our models. Let me tell you, it is rarely perfect. Imagine you have two features in your dataset: age and income. Age values usually sit somewhere between 20 and 60, but income, that could range from $30,000 to $150,000. If you toss this raw data into, say, a neural network, the model gets super confused. Because the income numbers are literally thousands of times larger, the model might mistakenly assume that income is way more important than age. This totally messes up the model's learning process, and it might end up just ignoring the age data altogether. And that is exactly where feature scaling swoops in to save the day. Basically, it's the process of adjusting the ranges of your independent variables down to a standard scale without losing the original relationships between the numbers. It's the ultimate equalizer. Whether your features are in the tens or the hundreds of thousands, scaling ensures that every single feature gets an equal voice in the final output. Put simply, it brings all your data onto the exact same level. Moving on to Section 2, why scaling matters and algorithm sensitivity. Now you might be wondering, does every single algorithm actually need scaling? Well, no, but the ones that do are extremely sensitive to it. Algorithms like k-nearest neighbors and support vector machines literally calculate the geometric distance between data points, so they absolutely require scaling. Without it, the features with the biggest numbers just dominate the whole calculation. The same goes for neural networks and logistic regression, which rely on gradient descent. They need scaled data to converge faster. On the flip side, tree-based models like decision trees and random forests, they make decisions based on splitting rules, not distances. So they're completely immune to feature scales. No scaling needed there. All right, Section 3, key scaling techniques. Let's talk standard, min-max, and robust. So we know why we do it, now let's look at how. In scikit-learn, we generally rely on three main techniques. Consider this table your ultimate cheat sheet. We have standardizer, which sets the mean to 0 and the standard deviation to 1. Then there's min-max scaler, which squashes all values into a fixed range, usually 0 to 1. And finally, robust scaler, which uses the median and the interquartile range, or IQR. Let's break down exactly when you'd use each one. First, let's contrast the two most popular ones. Standard scaler works like magic when your data follows a normal Gaussian distribution. Min-max scaler, on the other hand, is your best bet when you need a fixed output range, which is super common with neural networks. But listen, there is a massive catch with both of these. They rely on the mean, the max, or standard deviations to do their math. So if your dataset has extreme outliers, like crazy high or low values, those outliers will skew the math and completely wreck your scaling in both of these methods. But don't worry, we have a perfect solution for that: the robust scaler. This is basically the superhero for messy real-world data. Instead of using the mean, which gets easily distorted by outliers, it uses the median, the exact middle point of your data. And instead of standard deviation, it uses the interquartile range, which is the distance between the 25th and 75th percentiles. By effectively ignoring those extreme edge values, outliers have absolutely zero impact on your scaling results. It's brilliant. Let's move to Section 4, Python workflow and implementation. We've covered the theory, so let's see how this builds out practically in Python. It's a super simple three-step workflow. Step 1, you import your chosen scalar from the scikit-learn library. Step 2, you fit the scalar. This is crucial. You only fit it on your training data to calculate the parameters. And Step 3, you use those calculated parameters to transform both your training data and your test data. If the math sounded a bit intimidating earlier, you'll love this. Implementing it takes literally 3 lines of code. We import standard scalar, we initialize it as scalar, and then we just call the fit_transform function on our dataset. That's it. Scikit-learn handles all that heavy mathematical lifting in the background for us. Almost at the finish line. Section 5, best practices and mistakes. Let's talk about avoiding data leakage. Before you go rushing off to transform every dataset you see, there's something absolutely critical you need to know. Knowing how to scale is important, but knowing how not to ruin your model is even more important. The most common and dangerous mistake beginners make is scaling the entire dataset before splitting it into training and testing sets. If you calculate the mean across all your data, information from your test set mathematically leaks into the training process. We call this data leakage. It makes your model look way more accurate than it actually is. The absolute best practice? Always split your data first, then fit only on the training data, and finally use those exact same parameters to transform the test data. Section 6, Summary and Revision Quiz. Let's test your knowledge. Let's do a really quick rapid-fire recap. Scaling stops large numbers from secretly dominating your models. Standardizer is great for normal data, but hates outliers. Minimax Scaler neatly squashes your values between 0 and 1. If you've got massive, extreme outliers, Robust Scaler is your best friend. And most importantly, to avoid data leakage, always fit on your trained data and only transform your test data.
Okay, quiz time. Just lock your answer in your head. Question 1. If your dataset contains massive, extreme outliers, which scaler should you choose? Take a second. The answer is the Robust Scaler, since it uses the median and IQR, extreme values, literally can't throw off the math.
Moving on, question 2. True or false? Decision trees and random forests require feature scaling to work properly. Think about how they actually make decisions. And the answer is false. Tree-based algorithms don't care about distance metrics, so they're totally immune to feature scales. Last question. To prevent data leakage, should you apply fit_transform to your test data? The definitive answer here is no. You only ever use transform on the test data using the parameters your scaler already learned from the training set. And with that, you are completely ready to apply feature scaling with absolute confidence in your next ML project. Just remember, before you train that next model, take a hard look at your data and ask yourself, is everything on a level playing field, or is one feature secretly running the show? Hope you had fun learning today. Keep experimenting, and I'll see you in the next one.